Have you ever wondered what meditation is actually supposed to do or even how to do it? Well, in this video, let me show you the truth about meditation and how when applied correctly, it can give you access into the control panel of your very own reality itself. So I've been asked recently by quite a few people on multiple platforms on how I meditate or if I meditate at all and how do you apply the technique correctly so you can get the most out of it. And so after answering a few people in private, I decided I would make a video on it because I didn't realize how widely questioned this topic was and how many misconceptions probably exist, especially around people who haven't tried it before and people who are even still in the beginner phase or new to meditation. And the reason I wanted to make the video is because I think that from what I've understood is that my ideas and perceptions of what meditation is and certainly how I use it and have been using it for the last 7 years almost daily is quite different to the perceptions of meditation that a lot of people have who are new to the idea and the technique. So I thought I would share some ideas and experiences that I've had over the last 7 years with the technique of meditation or the tool of meditation. And so it might shed some light for you on how it can be used super effectively to enact real change within your consciousness and physical reality and day-to-day experience. To begin with, I want to talk about the idea of what I discovered just quite recently, that I think a lot of beginners and people new to meditation have the idea that it's really only used to achieve some sort of relaxation or to de-stress in a certain way. And so a lot of people seem to find it quite boring when coming through that lens. But I look at meditation very, very differently. So in the last 7 years, for example, I've never once, after almost daily meditation, never once have I applied the tool and technique of meditation as a way to just chill out or relax. It's always been with a very specific intention and purpose for what I want to get out of it. The way I perceive and interact with the tool of meditation is quite similar and can be analogized to how a software developer might interact with their software program and go into the back end of their programming and edit the code in certain ways to reflect different changes within the program itself for the end user. So I don't know a huge lot about website and software coding, but what I do know is that for a software developer to go in and make a change to the software program that they're running, they need to open up dev mode or go into the back end so they can actually visibly access and interact with the code itself. And therefore, by changing that, they can create the intended change in the development program itself. And like I said, the end user can interact with it in the intended way that the developer has in mind because of those changes. So I like to think of meditation as almost a very, very similar tool to that. It's almost like entering the dev mode or the back end of your own mind and going into a greater state of awareness with the specific intention of accessing various information that you may want to change at the program level or at the back end level, which then reflects a different change in the physical reality, so that you can interact, your character, your avatar that your soul is playing in can interact in a different way or have a different experience in the physical reality. It's like accessing the dev mode of your very own supercomputer. And so my goal for the next few minutes while I'm explaining meditation is to really give you a clearer picture of what's possible with the tool and technique, because I still believe that meditation is the most powerful tool you can use to gain greater levels of awareness, more embodiment of the soul or the core fundamental self, and to interact in the world in a much more preferable way as opposed to always experiencing cycles of non-preferred situations or reality loops. As I mentioned, I think of meditation as like dev mode for your own mind. And when entering into a meditation, what it allows you to do is access higher and higher levels of your own mind that contains an array of frequencies. And when you set the intention to access certain information and match up with that frequency, you can then start to understand it. You can understand how that frequency and that information is acting like a program in your physical day-to-day reality. And from that understanding, you can begin learning how to rewrite that program or remove it completely And so you can experience more and more of your core fundamental self as opposed to a conflicting program. Because as you progress on your journey of expanding your awareness, you're able to access deeper and deeper or higher and higher levels of mind. And as you access higher levels of mind, you also gain access to information that influences more and more of your thought patterns, your daily behaviors, and also the way you interact with the world, and also the way the world reflects back to you. And this all comes down to the intention you set when going into any meditation. So any meditation, like I said, is kind of, you can consider it similar to opening up dev mode. And so when you open up your mind, your consciousness, it's your intention that's going to steer your experience into what you want to access. Just like a software developer needs to set the intention to go and look for a bug or a certain piece of code that they want to change, so too, once you enter into a meditation, you want to set the intention ahead of time for how you want to interact with the content of your own mind. Really what it comes down to is how creative are you with your intentions as to what you want to access. And even more than that, that can also look like what in your daily life right now would you like to change or enhance or have more of. There's really an abundance of options that you've got at your disposal to set your intention ahead of time. And so what I want to start with as an example is perhaps what I would consider the highest form of meditation. And that is simply retracting your awareness from the physical world, the physical avatar, with the intention of just dropping back into the core being, the core truth of who you really are. And if you're a beginner to meditation or the path of awareness, it could be a very real possibility for you that you might find it hard to drop back into the self or the non-dual self, the awareness, the observer behind all things, because the turbulence of the physical avatar and the physical plane is too great to be able to release and let go and drop back into that core of your being just yet. And so what I would suggest, if you want to interact with meditation with this intention, is you start with a heart-centered meditation. And that simply means focusing your intention on the heart space for the duration of the meditation with the intention of accessing the frequency of the core of your being, the higher mind, the soul, whatever you want to call it. And there's a very good reason behind this, and that's because the heart center or the heart space is what contains the greatest concentration of frequency and connection to that core being, to the truth of your core being and that core self. And so by focusing on the heart space, the heart center, you can almost interact with it like it's a portal directly in to the core of your being. And this is why many depictions that you can see on the screen of biblical figures like Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary can often be seen pointing to the heart, because it's like they're pointing directly to a path that we can begin to follow to find our way home or our way back to ourselves. And this is a great place to start, because over time, what you'll find is that the core of your being is actually all around you. There's no inside, no outside. All that is you, and all that appears within you and is made of you at the fundamental level. And this realization is what I believe the core message was of the great gurus, sages, and the mystics. They were trying to tell us that the core of our being, the non-dual self, is all that is. And that is how everything is interconnected, that appears, because everything shares the same core being in oneness. And so, as I said, this is probably what I would consider the highest form of meditation, because once you realize the self, truly realize the self, there is nothing higher than that. And I believe, as Jesus or a biblical character said, I'm not sure exactly which one, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and the rest shall be added unto you. And the kingdom of heaven is the full realization of the self. Another use case of meditation is rewriting what I would consider buggy type of programs. So these are programs within the subconscious mind that are causing repeated and unwanted looping patterns of behavior that we no longer want to interact or engage with, that are causing a lot of problems in our lives. So for example, addictive patterns, we can use it to go into the higher awareness of our mind, and we can meditate on the information that might be linked to the causation of that addictive pattern. We can fully understand it. We can understand the genesis, why that addictive pattern occurred, which usually comes from a self-preservation mechanism that the ego stores in the subconscious as a protective mechanism, because it believes that if it's able to trick you into avoiding the uncomfortable feeling that the addiction is self-soothing you from, then your chance of survival goes up, because it perceives that feeling state as a very real threat to your very survival. So like I said, that's where addictive patterns can come in, and you can look into those. That's where self-sabotage comes in. You can look into that. And any other behavior that you no longer prefer or want to interact with, you can very much gain information and access to the frequencies that are residing within your subconscious mind that are still perpetuating that type of program and experience in your physical reality. Very much accessible in meditation. Another use case might be if you want to quote unquote manifest something, going into a visualization state. As Neville Goddard talked about, planting the seed is a very, very powerful way to engage with the tool of meditation, because what that allows you to do is it allows you to create an image within your mind that you would like to experience and capture the associated frequency of that experience itself, because the experience itself comes with a certain energy. The person you are when you have that experience is in a certain type of frequency that you can capture during visualization, and you can train your mind and body and subconscious to feel that frequency until it's been sufficiently impressed in the subconscious mind that it reflects back out into the physical reality so you can experience it. So visualization through meditation is another very powerful tool and use case. And so I want to kind of finish off now by talking about the universal mind perspective and why meditation is so important and so powerful as a tool to interact with your day-to-day life and the core of your being. And to do that, I'll just simply refer to the Hermetic principle of mentalism, which states that all is mind and everything that appears is made up of mind, as if it was a thought form. So you could take this principle in Hermeticism and you could essentially apply the philosophy to the idea that we are all thoughts inside the mind, the one mind of God. And how this relates to the effectiveness and use case of meditation as a tool is because if all is mind, then really all we're ever doing is interacting with the content of our own mind. And so by accessing higher and higher levels of awareness and going deeper into our mind, we then have the ability to reshape the content of our own mind so we can experience a different physical reality or different physical reflection of that content. And this is really about taking ownership of your own mind and your own being and your own actions and behaviors and thought forms and beliefs, because all of it sits as content within your awareness, your very own awareness. And therefore that means that we have full empowerment to shape our mind in the way that's most empowering for us and transform ourselves and our reality in the process. I would love to know in the comments below if you have any questions or how you interact with the tool of meditation. And if you found this beneficial or useful at all, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button so you can see more of these type of videos that come out. Otherwise, thanks for watching.